So a few months ago, my Facebook got deleted, but before it did, I ended up downloading all of my content, and it was over 200 pages of posts from 2008 to 2024. And I decided to take all that information and plug it into Notebook LM, which essentially, the main feature of it, it gives you a podcast of all of the information you enter into it. So I downloaded all 200 pages into a PDF and I fed it into Notebook LM, and I got all of it back in podcast form. And so if you are wondering how my life evolved from the age I was, 19 to about 35, stay tuned. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something really quite unique.
We are.
Our source material isn't, the usual articles or studies. It's actually a window into a life.
Mm-hmm.
It's a collection of your social media posts shared with us, stretching back over 16 years.
That's right. And our mission today, essentially, is to kind of excavate this digital history you've given us access to.
Excavate, I like that.
Yeah, we're going to sift through these posts, from the very beginning right up to the latest ones. We want to pull out the key insights, the themes that keep coming up, the big moments.
The story.
Exactly, the story of the person behind all these updates. And also, I think, understand a bit more about what it means to capture a life in this way. Online.
It really is a fascinating set of data, isn't it? I mean, looking at posts from 2008 all the way to 2024, that gives us this incredible long-term view.
It does. It's a chance to see interests pop up, change, maybe fade a little, then maybe come back.
See challenges being faced, reflections shared, and it's all in your own words over, a pretty significant amount of time.
Yeah. 16 years is a long digital trail.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Let's go back to the beginning, 2008.
Okay.
The earliest posts are, they're pretty relatable for back then, I think.
Yeah.
Talking about needing a new phone, specifically a Verizon one.
Right, yeah. And then the excitement of getting it, calling it a BAMF phone.
Yes, very 2008 energy, rooted in, the tech and just the basic needs of the moment.
But what's really striking, I think, is how quickly the creative stuff appears right alongside that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in those first few months, you're already mentioning movies, Wally, talking about going deep on IMDb. And there's this clear, very early passion for music and musical theater.
So it wasn't just about the phone. The arts were there from the get-go.
Foundational, it seems like.
Yeah. And that artistic drive, it seems like it quickly leads to a pretty big decision. There's a post later, I think May 2020, looking back 11 years. And you explicitly say the move to Orange County was for music.
Right. That later reflection really hammers home how big that move was, driven by that passion we saw emerging right at the start.
In Orange County, that seems to be where the theater world just explodes in your posts.
Oh, definitely. It becomes like the main focus for a while.
Yeah.
References to specific shows just keep coming up.
Rent,
JCS, Jesus Christ, Superstar, Ada, Cabaret, Miss Saigon, A Chorus Line, Passing Strange, too.
Wow, quite a list. And specific places, too, right? Fullerton College?
Yeah, Fullerton College comes up a lot.
Aye.
And theater companies, Mysterium, Candlelight Pavilion, 3D Theatricals, you see these connections being built.
And it wasn't just watching from the sidelines, you were in it.
Absolutely. The posts show active participation, getting roles, like playing Jesus in JCS.
Which came with that great comment about being Black Jesus.
Yeah.
Very self-aware.
Yeah, and involvement in directing, writing, plays for something called Directors Fest.
Hitting auditions.
Constantly. Cruise lines, Disney, posting about getting callbacks. You feel the momentum, the chase.
But, and this is really clear too, the posts show the reality of trying to make it in the arts. It's not just stage lights.
Not at all. It's the hustle that comes through so strongly. Juggling multiple jobs. Tastia, Quiznos, doing extra work up in LA.
And the money struggles. They're right there.
Yeah.
Frequent, really candid mentions of needing cash for gas, for rent, for car stuff.
Phrases like, brokest I have been. Or that line about flirting with the line between financial security and ruin. That's pretty raw.
Yeah, it paints a vivid picture of that time. That financial tightrope walk feels like a constant theme.
And asking for help isn't hidden either, is it? Posts asking if anyone can help with gas money or needing a ride to the tow yard.
Oh yeah, the car trouble posts.
It's very grounded in those everyday practical difficulties of just making that artistic life work financially.
But what also comes through, Counterbalancing that maybe is the community.
Oh, absolutely. The strength of community. Those references to the theater family at Fullerton College, they feel important, like a real support system.
You see so much gratitude expressed towards friends, colleagues. It feels like that sense of belonging was crucial.
Yeah, it suggests community wasn't just, a nice bonus. It was like essential infrastructure for keeping the dream alive through those tough times.
And outside of the main theater focus, other little interests kind of poke through in these early years too, don't they?
They do, like asking about, what are typical jobs for people in their 20s, that shows a practical streak.
Sharing opinions on movies, Anomalisa, Charlie Kaufman stuff, TV shows. Bob's Burgers definitely beats Family Guy.
Ha! Yes, that was a clear verdict. And enjoying We Bare Bears.
And little glimpses of life outside OC, right?
Yeah.
Visiting family in the high desert. That post about the rain and thunderstorms there. A different world.
Yeah, real contrast. And this is also where we start seeing the first hints of, life philosophies, maybe?
Like what?
Well, that quote, creativity is the new currency. Given the financial struggles mentioned, that's interesting. Is it an observation, an aspiration?
Good question.
And reflections on learning, being thankful for small things, even questioning reality TV. It's this mix. You've got the ambition, the practicality, the community reliance, and this emerging introspective side.
Okay, so that sets the scene. Let's move forward a bit. Say 2013 to around 2019. What shifts?
Well, the big shift documented here is definitely the cruising and performing life-taking center stage, so to speak.
Right, the ship contracts.
Exactly. We see specific dates, starting with Princess Cruises in September 2017, and an earlier Royal Caribbean gig from late 2016 to mid-2017.
And with that comes travel. The posts really open up geographically.
Totally. It becomes a bit of a travelogue. There's Japan. Japan is amazing. That comes through loud and clear.
Atlanta, too. Atlanta was an absolute blast.
Yeah. And mentions of the ships themselves. Majesty in 2014, Regal Princess in 2018, and looking back later at the Sapphire Princess in 2020.
Calling it the before time.
Yeah.
Which is poignant now.
Very. And location posts tied to the contracts, like being in Miami for the Royal Caribbean start. The world definitely gets bigger in this phase.
But it wasn't just smooth sailing, was it? This period also documents some major personal challenges.
No, not at all. And with, again, a real raw honesty, there's that post mentioning being shot, having a hole in the calf.
Just calling it a crazy story, really. Kind of understated.
And then that reflection from a hospital bed, wondering if life just happens to you or if you can control it. That's incredibly profound. Captures the weight of navigating something traumatic.
It's not just saying this happened, it's sharing the deep questioning that came after.
Exactly.
But amidst those kinds of hurdles, there are also positive milestones, academic ones.
Right. Finishing the associate's degree at Fullerton College, that's highlighted and framed as quite an accomplishment, acknowledging it maybe wasn't easy before.
And plans mentioned for a BA, too. So still that commitment to learning, even with a performing career and these personal crises.
Yeah, the learning thread continues. And then there's Burning Man, September 2013.
Ah, yes. The posts about that or something else.
They really are so detailed. They paint this picture of a genuinely transformative experience, it seems.
The journey there, that feeling of just immediate acceptance.
Yeah.
Unconditional love and support right off the bat from total strangers.
Yeah, the way clothes were just provided, that mix he describes of feeling generous but also helpless, the chaos and entropy leading to freedom.
And the humor mixed in, being called a dark-tarred asshole. The detail about peeing on the toilet seat.
It feels very real, very unfiltered, and the gratitude for the friends who made it happen, William, Tim, your brother, Trance, that just shines through.
It feels like another example of community being key at a pivotal moment, even connecting back to that joke about being a horrible roommate the year before, like past connections enabling this big experience.
Definitely. And this era, 2013-2019, is also where we see the clear emergence of another major interest, cryptocurrency.
Ah, okay. So this is where it starts popping up.
Yes. We see those early, almost tentative mentions like, I don't want to jinx it, but cryptos. Just testing the waters.
Then later.
By 2019, you're linking that Facebook Calibre Libre article saying crypto is going mainstream next year. So, more conviction.
But you mentioned it might have started even earlier.
Well, there's a post in 2018 linking an NPR article about banks and complex trades. And right next to it, a question about cryptocurrencies.
Interesting. So it wasn't just out of the blue in 2019. The curiosity was building. You were connecting dots to the bigger financial picture.
Seems that way. It shows a developing interest, not a sudden jump.
What else is evolving in this period? other interests.
Yeah, definitely. A growing curiosity about tech, maybe? Links about virtual reality? Tasting and chewing in VR Wild.
Wow.
AI lip reading tech. Movie interests are still there. Last Jedi, Wicked gets mentioned again.
And some social or political links too, right?
Yeah, things like the Walter Scott incident and the California Initiative for Clearing Weed Felons' Records shows an engagement with the wider world beyond performance and personal life.
And the life philosophy stuff. Does that continue?
Oh, it deepens, I'd say. Reflections on life's path. Seeing it not as a simple fork in the road, but as intricate branches. The importance of grabbing opportunities, that internal struggle, doubt versus action, using the metaphor of a book that's never opened.
That's a powerful image.
Turning 25 prompts thoughts on lifelong learning. Embracing the nomad life that cruising enabled. And always that gratitude for people, cherishing moments, figuring out how to cope with tough times.
So the posts aren't just what I did, they're what I thought about what I did.
Exactly. Documenting the inner processing alongside the external events.
Okay, let's fast forward then to the most recent period in the posts, 2020 up to 2024. The pandemic backdrop must be there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You see the stay safe messages, mentions of boredom during lockdowns. That context is unavoidable.
And interestingly, this period also includes looking back.
It does. That 11-year reflection on moving to Orange County for music pops up again, explicitly connecting that past decision to the present. Feels like a moment of taking stock.
Maybe prompted by the world pausing.
Could be. A natural time for reflection.
And this is also where that cryptocurrency interest we saw emerging really seems to solidify, right?
Yeah.
Become a major focus.
Absolutely. It shifts gear here. There's that incredibly specific story you shared about the doctor friend.
Right, buying Bitcoin at $50.
Seeing it crash down to $16 Ks in late 2022, and then the post captures the moment it hits $80.
That's quite the roller coaster.
But it's not just sharing the drama. The post highlights the text exchange about it, and crucially, the idea of creating a webinar about crypto's state, its future.
Ah, so moving from personal interest to potentially teaching or sharing knowledge.
Exactly. That feels like a significant shift, actively engaging, thinking about educating others in the space.
And still engaging with other tech, too.
Yep. Experimenting with ChatGPT, asking it to create a picture of your life, which is pretty meta considering what we're doing right now.
It really is.
Life imitating AI, imitating life.
And there's that nice little loop back, isn't there? Recent mentions of the Wicked movie musical, Ariana Grande.
Echoing that enthusiasm for the original musical way back in 2008.
Yeah, it shows some passions just stick around, even as totally new ones develop.
For sure. Some threads remain constant.
Okay, so if we try to pull it all together, synthesize this story, told through 16 years of posts, what's the arc?
Well, it starts, clearly, with a young performer, full of passion but really grinding it out, facing the tough financial realities, the hustle, relying heavily on that theater community.
Then it shifts, moves into exploring the world through those performance contracts, facing some really significant personal challenges.
Documenting that resilience, that introspection that follows trauma.
While also having these big transformative experiences like Burning Man, and letting new interests like crypto start to take root.
Yeah. And then arriving at the present day where tech and finance, especially crypto and AI, are much more central, a clear deepening of those interests we saw emerge earlier.
But still with those through lines, right? Appreciating community, creativity, learning.
Exactly. Those seem constant. What really stands out, looking at the pattern over all this time, is how the resilience you needed in that early theater hustle seems to inform how you navigated later challenges.
That makes sense.
And that underlying curiosity, that desire to learn, it consistently leads you down new paths, whether it was formal education, world travel, or now this deep dive into crypto.
So connecting this all back to you, the listener, since these are your posts, why is doing this, looking at your own digital footprint this way, valuable?
Well, I think because it doesn't just give you a list of things that happened, it shows how your life story actually unfolded. That interplay between the things you planned,
Like moving from music, taking contract.
and the unexpected stuff, the random events, car trouble, a health crisis, things you couldn't have predicted.
It shows that life is this constant process, right? Learning, adapting, maybe shifting priorities.
Yeah, and your own documented journey shows how all these different experiences, even ones that seem unrelated at the time, can actually shape your interests and your perspective in really surprising ways.
Taken together, these posts paint a really powerful, really human picture. growth, resilience, evolving passions, all captured in this very modern way.
Absolutely.
So we've journeyed through your post. We've traced this path from the stages around Fullerton College, out onto cruise ships sailing the world, and now into these really complex current worlds of crypto and AI. It's quite a narrative.
It really is, told entirely in your own words, bit by bit, over such a long time.
Which brings us to maybe a final thought, something for you to think about moving forward.
Yeah.
This deep dive was into your social media history. But it raises a fascinating question, doesn't it? Consider your entire digital footprint.
Beyond just social media.
Maybe texts, emails, your search history, all those digital breadcrumbs we leave. What story would that collection of data tell about your journey?
Your challenges, your passions, how they've shifted over the last, say, decade or more.
What surprising connections or themes that keep repeating, or even moments you've completely forgotten? What might emerge if you took that kind of deep, critical look at the trail you've left online?
That's a really interesting question to ponder. What story is your own digital life telling?